Ever wondered what makes TV so powerful in Jamaica? Time to find out. Welcome to Global TV Group 358, where television meets innovation. We're not just about shows, we're about shaping society. In Jamaica, TV keeps you informed, connects diverse voices, and supports democracy. Imagine a Jamaica where broadcasters unite, sharing data and collaborating globally. That's us, a unified voice in the TV industry. Did you know TV advertising is still king? It drives website traffic, boosts brand equity, and powers integrated campaigns. Even in an age of digital, TV stands strong, resilient in tough times. Our global TV deck is your treasure trove of insights and data. With charts, graphs, and success stories, it's your guide to impactful TV advertising. Curious to learn more? Visit our website and see how Global TV Group 358 keeps television at the heart of entertainment in Jamaica. Get ready to binge watch the future.
Oh, thy peace, God of my salvation, because the mouth of the sinful and wicked is open. Rastafari. Come with I. Rastaman throw one stone, and it break a bad feeling to all wicked men. Not a people there. Make a man throw one stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Only when man like Marcus Garvey speak, wicked men would I hear. Hear not hear. Instead of that, they only sit aside a rub and cheat, and not press the poor. Make up what I seen to. Make a man throw one stone, and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Oh, what a plan. Make a man throw one stone, and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. My favorite part, if Rasta make a progressive move, wicked men are red, how they want to see the day them can sell out Rasta and sell it out and sell out Babylon. They give man show one stone, and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. They give man show one stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. If Rasta make a progressive move, wicked men are red. How they want to see the dead and can sell out Rasta and sell out and sell out Babylon. Just stop on the Friday. You must go and stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Oh, what a black baby man throw one stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. You have eyes to see, let him see. You have ears to hear, let them hear. What a prophet must say. President Mandela was in prison for 20 odd years. And he leave from the prison and take the seat of the president. Stone one. Big man show one stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Oh, what's a black big man show one stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Rasta man show one stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. said, oh, run, keep going on, let's process. For children of Israel do really love rights. So just a and I say, watch a man around Babylonian walls. Oh, children of Israel. I she never hold thy peace. What wrong is going on? Hey, oh, night. We gonna bust down Babylon walls. Prepare the way. Prepare the way for your people. Let's go. Fight down, war and crime. Fight down. Me say Rastafari. War and crime. And do the righteousness. And we love Jah. And we love Jah. Jah Rastafari. And we love Jah. Jah Rastafari. Save all people. And we love Jah. We love Jah. Jah Rastafari. We love Jah. Jah Rastafari. Save all people. Put time away again. Listen, yeah. Just a time and I say, watch a man around Babylonian walls. Oh, children of Israel. I should never hold thy peace while we penalize. Hey, oh, night. We gonna bust down Babylon gates. Prepare the way. Prepare the way for Jah Rastafari. Fight down, war and crime. Fight down, war and crime. Rastafari, war and crime. And build up righteousness. And we love Jah. And we love Jah. Jah Rastafari. And we love Jah. Jah Rastafari. We love all. And we love Jah. Jah Rastafari. Me love Jah. Jah Rastafari. Me love Jah. Jah Rastafari. Preserve all. Me love Jah. Rastafari. Rastafari.
Another soprano has joined the anti-defamation choir. I'm going to sue you. Good morning and welcome. It's Friday the 9th of January 2026, where the world is much a more unpredictable place than it was in 2025. Welcome one and all. Good morning. Like and share the live for us, please. That's the way to support the program and get us into the algorithm by hitting the like button and share to your groups and your friends and your family and so on and so forth. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Thank you all for joining us, to my community of party and all my family members, platform moderators, membership holders, viewers, subscribers, commenters, and trolls. Good morning and welcome. The weather lifted a little bit over here, but not too glorious, causing to say, me ride go over late this morning, go look on the bird, them, and a lot of them still turn up on ice. The lake is still frozen, so there isn't a lot of joy, and it's rainy and sleety out there. Morning, everybody. We come out for Shia this morning, yeah. Shia joined the choir of Suyu. And we're going to tackle her this morning. And I mean, rugby tackle. You ever watch a good game of rugby? And you say rugby tackle? A colleague, we're going to rugby tackle out here this morning. And you're going to hear the attack on Donald Trump from Bruce Golding, read by Recorder Brooks or whatever his name is. As well as we're going to hear a bit from Fifth Element this morning on the whole blegging of international law and all of that we are going, or what's left of it, or what never exists of international law. Morning and welcome, everybody. Oh no do. Lynette Jenkins, good morning. Good morning. George Beckford, good morning. Paul Johnson, rather, sorry. Lorraine Smichaels, Keith Matthews, Miranda Ruddock, Markland Fagan, Dolores McLean, Colleen, Debbie Jervis TV, Miranda Ruddock, Arlene Scott, Barbara Simpson. Who else is here? Sharon Johnson Walton. Good morning. Good morning. How you do? Winifred Saunders, good morning. Good morning. Evan Miller. Charlotte Grime, good morning. Errol Reed. Suzette Williams. Mara Thomas, good morning. Evan Bradford, Richard Green. Jean and Tony. Janet Harriet. Morning, everyone. Morning and welcome. Hit the like button for us, please, and like and share the live. Like and share the live. Let us know. Colleen, you are going to need to sue more than the Gleaner. Why you not go sue the Integrity Commission? Because the whole lot have habit of suing the Integrity Commission. Why not go sue the Integrity Commission? Or why you don't go sue the staff member where Gleaner happens to see the correspondent between Uno and them and the mix up with you and what the little boy named the bloody hand one, Tom Tavares, with money and all of that. The Integrity Commission procurement galangin sure said you never follow the rules. So why you jump up on the Gleaner for this morning? The clerk to the House of Parliament, Collen Lowe, has threatened to sue the Jamaica Gleaner unless corrective action is taken over an article published in the Sunday edition of the paper. Let me tell you, Colleen, if Gleaner retract it and take it down, it don't make no difference. Because we run with it already. Me run with it, Colleen. And me go rerun with it and rerun with it and rerun with it. You understand? So if you no want to join the choir, just sing loud. Because with our back, we can't hear you if you're not singing on no throat. Who say with our back? We don't have to sing loud for we hear you. In a letter dispatch on Thursday, the clerk accused the Gleaner of defaming her by conveying false and damaging allegations about her conduct in relation to procurement and financial administration at the Parliament. Lowe claimed that Gleaner falsely suggests she knowingly instructed public officials to breach procurement and financial governance law and abuse her authority by coercing staff to act illegally. And the staff them so idiot, fool, big head waff dog. The people them way on them in front of court at the moment, so. The Integrity Commission, look a big head girl. The Integrity Commission say you never follow the procurement rules. What is your problem? All on have a way of when I go and walk and sing like a tenor. If you are going to come out and sing like a soprano, I am going to sing like a tenor. Because to say, and a Gleaner alone says so. Gleaner story, because I've read it to my audience. Gleaner story is backed up by correspondent Gleaner have claimed to see from Stewart and what the other officer named. The people them were on them in a legal wrangles. Where I try to sack because they've never followed the corruption. Where I teach them in a parliament when it comes to taxpayer money. Little girl, you're a thief. You're a liar. You is a labor right. You is a concubine of Juliet Holness. Little girl, you is a thief. Collen Lowe, clerk to the House of Parliament. You is a thief. So if you want to send more lawsuits, send one that way too. Collen Lowe, you're a thief. You're a crook. So if you have more of the public money for spend on lawsuits, spend some this way because you're a thief. You never follow the rules. The people them will come, they come work, so you try to corrupt them. And because they don't follow the rule, you kick them out and you hand them in a court. Isn't that facts? The Integrity Commission say you never follow the rule. When it comes to the air conditioner, when it comes to the refurbishing of Parliament land, where you come out about? Where Gleaner say which was a lie? If Gleaner don't want to take you on, me will take you on. Because Integrity Commission say you never follow the rule. So what is your problem? What is your problem? Dunce liar. Big head waff dog liar. What is your problem? You're a thief. It's what lawyers normally do. It's what people who are meant to have public integrity, and when they line themselves to politician pocket, that's what they do. I know you are drive around in a vehicle and all then something that unauthorized like a thieving girl. Raymond, how you do? Altia. So don't come out here and think to say you can't check anybody and think to say anybody afraid of big head people. If we did afraid of big head people, we wouldn't afraid of Andrew. If we did afraid of people with big head, Collen, we wouldn't afraid of Andrew Holness. And you must notice by now that we don't afraid of Andrew, big as in head be. So we have come bore for your head through the crowd for? Just stay back and sing louder. You're a thief. Clerk to the House of Parliament of Jamaica. You're a thief. Remember when you been come to England with a credit card and how much you spend off a hit? Puss. P-U-S-S cat. P-U-S-S cat. You remember the credit card when you been come to England here with and how much big dinner them something that you spend off a hit? P-U-S-S cat. And you have the nerve to come out here and go on like people that call up your name. You're rude. You're a thief. Why don't you blame on a finger? Why all the while I feel we more to no context that pan when a phone no finger are the problem? All the while you come out out of people mouth. When a phone no finger create the problem, why you don't come out out of no finger? Your finger is the problem, my darling. Anything that you ought to be having problem with right now are those fingers, those nimble fingers of yours. Well, when you come to the taxpayer money and the taxpayer property, you can't get your finger off of it. So nobody think of the Gleaner one. I walk and talk, you say you're a thief. The Gleaner may not talking the way me talking. But a thief you be. You give instruction. You give the same instruction where Donald Trump give. Don't follow the law, just do it my way. You follow the same instruction where Andrew Holness and Juliet Holness give. Don't follow the law, do it my way. So what is your problem? Aren't you a thief? Aren't you a thief? Integrity Commission now go call you a thief. Me will call you so. Them can knife it up and say you break the rule. Me say you're a thief. I know the first. You may come to England with one with credit card already. And you spend how much a big dinner hotel galang in Pani. Thief in Collen Lowe. So you show about Valerie Curtis. When Valerie Curtis did that, you there hear them malpractice, yeah? Whatever mal them be malfeasing, mal this or mal whatever they are. You there hear them something yeah come out when Valerie Curtis was there and find you come and be a corruption. You and Juliet Holness fight out Valerie Curtis to come entrench corruption. And the people them where you teach the thieving come out come talk. And them show Gleaner, the correspondent between you and them. Thieving Colleen. And them show the Gleaner, the correspondent between you and you're a crook. You are a crook. You are a highway thief. So nobody run come out, come checking people about lawsuit. Like we can't call you a thief. You're a thief. All you have to do is keep your finger off people's things. That's all you need to do. And then, if we call your name that time, you can come out and say something. But for now, you are a PUSS cat. And no matter how much lawsuit you send around, you're still a crook. Because you people think people afraid of lawsuit, are like an idiot like me. You think lawsuit can quiet people. Why don't you sue the people that were past the correspondent between you and them to the Gleaner? Why you don't go sue them? Why you don't go sue the Integrity Commission? Because on our practice, when the Integrity Commission come out with anything, on a run go sue. Why you never go sue the Integrity Commission who say you never follow the rule? You breach the procurement rule twice on 2 occasions. You breach the procurement rule twice. That's stealing. That means anytime you breach the rule, there's a bigger crime behind the breach of the rule. Thief! The breach of the rule, in the breach of the rule, Miss Puss, and this one do the kickback in. So may I call you a thief? Because you're a thief. Because you breach the rules and you're a thief. There's a bigger breach. The procurement rules where you breach, there was a bigger corruption behind the breach. Because it's within that procurement breach, Colleen, a deso uno fingle with money. A deso uno fix up invoice. A deso uno pass it to uno special friend them we will pass back a thing to uno. Colleen, you're a thief. Little girl, you're a thief. If you wasn't a thief, you would have followed the rules. When procurement rules are not followed, I wouldn't know one thief. When you don't follow the procurement rule, that the iron cross, the T, are hell bent upon giving it to one or no friend. There's a bigger corruption behind it because you don't get back something out of it. And the price want to put on invoice give it. I don't hit for the same thing. You remember Daryl Vaz charged with 1.4 billion. And Daryl Vaz get the bus them for $1. You remember Tufton charged with 31 million. And the same thing upon eBay and Amazon for 11,000 UK pound. You remember? So nobody go on like when we say a thief, darling. We mix you up. No, we not mix you. We talk, we go so. We talk, we not do. We talk, we not do. How come the PNP them always a disrespect woman? Then this, then that. Can your mama come make a step up over her nastiness this morning? Can your nasty mama come well down on street side with the young boy where we have to tell your mama say, mind your foot lady, make we pass because this is a busy street where can your mama come? What your name, dirty boy? Richard Green. Can your mama come make a tap up over this morning like a wildebeest in the forest? Oh, Tada. Gloria Morris, good morning and welcome. Oh, Tada. On a labor right. When people talk about when money, we're not thief. One we have respect for no fa. What it is about Colleen and Juliet and any woman in a parliament that deserves respect. Respect as something where you can walk and buy. If you notice, money people get it without asking for it because they have money. And if you notice, we poor people on a fun way off because we're poor. So respect is something earned or bought. Just free where you walk and give out so. Me no lucky. A lucky walk and give away things just so. You either earn it or you buy it. What respect you see any of these labor right women in particular in parliament have for people have for them? Man, move on and go on. You're hungry like our. Hungry and distress. That are killing on labor rights. Anyway, let's go to the international banger and things now. We want to hear how Bruce Golden sees the galangin where Guan with Donald Trump and his unhinged
Served as Jamaica's prime minister from
and his unhinged behavior. Even though Bruce Golden speak out a many mouth kind of labor right, this is as much as a stinging attack on Donald Trump as, in my view, possibly not calling out Andrew Holness, cowardness. But all in all, Donald Trump have everybody on leash right now because nobody wants to be plucked out of their bed by the police crack of dawn. Nobody. I mean, nobody.
Served as Jamaica's prime minister from 2007 to 2011. Former prime ministers are known for usually staying above the fray and being diplomatic when commenting on national or international affairs. But this morning, clearly Golding has had enough. He describes the sitting US president as a megalomaniac whose inclinations are mercurial and virulent. He accuses Donald Trump of endangering the global rule-based order that has been in place since World War II. Golding says Trump has neutered critical institutions such as the World Trade Organization, put the future of the security alliance NATO in doubt, and hobbled the response to climate change. The former Jamaican prime minister says by summarily executing people in the Caribbean Sea by military strikes, Trump's America has arrogated to itself the right to be judge, jury, and executioner. This, he says, constitutes a redefinition of the rule of law. Golding wasn't done yet. He accuses Trump of blatant hypocrisy. Golding says although there is convincing evidence that Nicolas Maduro did steal the 2024 election in Venezuela, he wants to know how that's any different from what he pointedly describes as Donald Trump's attempt to steal the 2020 US election. The former Jamaican prime minister says Trump's warning that Colombia, Cuba, and Mexico could be next on his radar of intervention amounts to a blazing audacity. According to Golding, Trump is like a raging bull, charging through halfway tree, mowing down everyone and everything in its path. He says the silence of the international community has been disheartening. Golding is warning that Trump's behavior is a crisis for CARICOM. According to the former Jamaican leader, no head of government in the Caribbean is safe. He says any of them could be snatched by the United States in the dead of night, just as Maduro was. Golding took particular aim at Trinidad's Prime Minister, Kamla Persad-Bissessar, who has twice publicly broken with regional neighbors in support of the Trump administration. Mr. Golding is warning her that she may soon come to find that the United States is actually the unreliable partner. The elder Jamaican statesman is also warning the people of the Caribbean that recolonization is upon the region. He says the future of the world now rests in the hands of the American people and what they do in the next presidential election. The former prime minister ends his missive on a sad note. He says at 78 years old, he was hoping to leave the world better than he found it. He says much of the improvements he has seen in Jamaica gave him some hope that he would go to his grave with some satisfaction. But he says he's now deeply troubled as things are falling apart. Ricardo Brooks for Nationwide News.
Certainly, they are all falling apart in silence of everybody. And in context to international law, some of you may disagree, but based on a Gleaner article and Isaac Buchanan's speech at the Maroon Galangin, it's time for these people to be honest with us and talk about this democracy and this international law and all of that, because me telling you all the while it don't exist, but me gonna hear from somebody else this morning. These things, we need these people in position of power need to be honest.
Frisbee, where?
But then again, let me roll back on myself and say, how can they be honest with you? And if they're honest with you, they lose their power and their perks. You hear what I say? If our politicians ever think about being honest to us, they would lose power and they would lose perk. And I'm not talking labor right here. I'm talking politicians. Labor right, PNP, Democrat, Republican, conservative, all of them. If they were ever to tell you the truth, if they were ever to speak truth, they would lose power and perks. Stop making these leaders keep telling about free speech, democracy, rule of law, international law. These things don't exist. They never has. And at this point, when everybody is silenced to all of the rule breaking and all of the mashing up and smashing up of the norm, they still can't enforce the argument about rule of law. When they say rule of law, do you understand what they're saying to you? They're saying to you, the law applies to all of us, regardless of power, of status, of class, of color, of all of that. It's a lie. Don't say it. We know it's not true. It has never been so. I got in many problems at law school for this. Because I say one of the things that makes it a lie, diplomatic immunity, immunity from criminal activity for some high-class people like the royals or presidents and prime minister who you don't persecute when they are in power, and if it has a limitation on it, they can corruptly ride it out until time has passed, as Paula usually say. Democracy, the way the West sees democracy, it stops at two levels. One, free speech, which you don't have, which you never have. And participatory democracy, the right to participate in a free and fair election. We have never been sold a bigger lie. Our counselor was elected by somebody and passed to us to vote for. Or MP was selected by somebody and passed to us to vote for. How is that free and fair when sometimes the person who represents you knows nothing about the community, nothing about the constituency. How is that free and fair election? That's where democracy stops. It really doesn't go further. Even poor white people were fooled by this whole thing, democracy and freedom of speech. There was a time when it benefits them because it was geared within their interests. They are waking up to see that it no longer benefits them, because in a lot of ways they are being treated just like us. So we politicians them fit up walk and push the lie upon we about freedom of speech, democracy, rule of law, and then something there. You know, go so. And a then like a thing there, we make them use pull over with eye, diplomatic niceties. And that's why in some way, okay, with Trump to wake the world up, for these systems that we have been told about, and this system that have us locked in mentally, these things really don't exist. No, Donald Trump, as we say, the US has becoming more and more unilateral. America first, but it's no longer America first, it's America dominates. It has changed from America first to America dominates. Now, Donald Trump has pulled out of a lot of the U's, the I's, and W's, and a lot of the things. I don't mind, because these international organizations serves no purpose. They are a talking shop and a money laundering entity. So pull out of the World Health Organization, and pull out of UNESCO, and pull out of the Paris Climate Agreement, the Human Rights Council, UN Relief and Work Agency, UN Conference on Trade and Development, International Union for Convention of Nature, UN Human Settlement Program, Global Counterterrorism Forum, UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, UN Women Entity for Gender Equality, UN Population Fund, International Renewable Energy Agency, the UN Nobel Organization. So America has pulled out of a lot of this. And I'm kind of glad, because the UN, all of these organizations that I've just read out to you, it's organization that America used to dictate to the rest of the world. This is how the USAID used to flood through many and other of these organizations just for controlling other countries with American money. So with America not using these organizations to harangue the world, maybe other leaders can use a sense of it to move up. As we see African leaders that take the opportunity, some of them, Donald Trump is around now, so let's break away, because there's not much Donald Trump care about of the international structure. All Donald Trump care about is really oil. Let us listen to Fifth Element for a bit. I'm just going to play a bit of this because I'm going to premiere, it's over an hour, so I'm going to premiere it as a standalone video, because this is very important information that needs to be out there. So let's listen for a bit. Then we'll go to the police and the 4-year-old, because one article where they come out with, it confused me. Because now whenever I blame the police, everybody always start from the people them on the ground till we say a JDF. We've been saying JDF. So I don't know how the police come out and I say. Anyway,
prosecution can continue even if someone was brought to court through controversial means. It doesn't matter how they bring him into the courthouse in the United States. This prosecution still continues. Okay, I want them to understand that. So, listen, this is why regular people feel like, is anyone safe? I know you guys are feeling that. Is anyone safe? If they can do that to Venezuela, is anybody safe? Is sovereignty even real? And is the United Nations real? Those are real questions. Because think about it, no matter which country, when you put in a country in the comment, imagine if the United States decide tomorrow that they need to come collect your head of state. Can they be stopped? Is anybody safe?
My dear, barring the labor right them, the whole of we would have round up Andrew Push give them. The whole of we. Barring the labor right them, the whole of we would have round up Andrew Push give them.
So tonight, we're not here to scream. I'm not screaming. I'm just excited. We're here to understand, because understanding becomes design and design becomes freedom. Put in a country, not a comment box. Big up yourself, USA, automatic singularity. Now, if you feel the world rules are not applied equally, put your country into the box. If you think that the rules of the world are not applied to each country equally, put your country in the comment section. If you still believe rules should matter, type your big up yourself, Jamaica and Canada. If you're ready to build a new model, type fifth element in the comment. Okay? If you want to build a new model, if you want to hear fifth element, new model, type fifth in the comment. So put number 5. Don't even type fifth, because some of them probably can't type fast. Put 5. Put the number 5. Okay? Yes, put 5. Pick up yourself. Gratitude. Okay. So here we go. I have to follow it up because, like I said, my brain has been going for about 2 days now. The Maduro case did not create this problem. It exposed the problem like a flashlight under the bed. And what it exposed is this: enforcement world is not equal. No, listen to me. I am going to show you why the United Nations can condemn but cannot compel, and why veto power locks the world inside a rigid cage. Because when you don't understand why nobody can touch the United States now, people are saying it is against international law, and why the UN don't do something. I'm about to explain that part, then I'm going to go into everything. Everything I'm going to tie in, okay? Because that's where my mind started, and I started to dig deeper. So the illusion, who can actually stop anybody? Okay. I am going to explain the United Nations structure, the veto power, why enforcement fails, and why it is not the US why the US is not the UN, but great power paralysis. So let's dismantle the illusion cleanly. The UN is not a world government. It is a forum. And the Security Council is the enforcement gate. So the United Nations is a forum, and the Security Council of the United Nations is just an enforcement gate. So the veto means any permanent member can block enforcement. You know, that's what veto means, right? When them veto something. So anybody that's a part of the Security Council can block enforcement. That includes these countries: United States, Russia, and China. So the system is designed so major powers are rarely coerced. Thank you so much, Reds. So I'm going to go back to Maduro to explain this. So look at the reaction: protests, diplomatic condemnation, calls for UN action, but condemnation world is not enforcement. Realize that the man have a court date for March. He went before the judge the 5th of January in New York, and they set him a court date in March. So he's still behind bars, okay? The head of state. So while the world can call for condemnation, call for United Nations action, remember, condemnation is not enforcement. And war powers push back inside the US. And inside the US itself, even the Senate advanced a measure to curb further Venezuela war powers without Congress. So that tells you how serious escalatory this is. However, so here's the reality: the United Nations can speak. But if the strongest actors don't cooperate, United Nations cannot force them to do a daggone thing, okay? So, if you think international law should apply to everyone, type yes in the comment. If you see power overruling principle, type yes. So now I'm going to talk about the dangerous trap that we fall into. I'm going step by step in it because I'm just not going to bust up my thing. So I don't know if I understand how the system and how I'm going to fix the system. So we're not, okay, then let's answer power with military. That's where North Korea comes in. You know, you're not about North Korea. North Korea in my head too. So this is where I'm talking about North Korea. So why military solutions are normally a trap? Because we know the United States are big military, the big, largest, most powerful military. Actually, to be honest, no military can stand up against the United States military. China is the closest, but not in everything. China lacks in a lot of things. So no one military can stand up against the United States
That's
military,
wrong idea,
period.
Russia.
Okay, they're still the most powerful military across the globe. And that's fact. That's not me making up nothing. That's their air, their sea, their land, their technology, equipment, manpower. They are powerful. However, so if a country, we can't explain all of the militarism in a minute. If a country decides to confront the US, it is suicidal. Why? Deterrences exist while your system is economic plus governance, okay? So military confrontation would be suicidal for a lot of countries. So they're not going to do it, okay? People hear unfairness and they say, then we need military to stop military. That is the mindset of a lot of us. Let's use military to stop military. And that's exactly how the world burns, okay? North Korea is always brought up because it's nuclear. But nuclear doesn't mean strong. Nuclear means if you push this too far, everyone loses. So I'm not building a war system. I am building a replacement system because war is not a solution. War is a collapse, people. You will collapse the whole damn world. Trust and believe, because I've gone through every single country that has a military and what their military has and how effective and everything. Yes, it will be a world collapse. I went through all of that too. It will be a collapse. Military dominance does not get defeated by brute force. It gets constrained by cost and alternatives. Okay? So this is where I shift into economics because we're not going to use military to fix the world. So this is where I go into economics. The only arena where real constraint can happen without global suicide. So what is the economic reality right now? The dollar, manufacturing, and leverage, okay? I am going to explain why economics is the constraint, why China matters in all of this, and why coalitions are very difficult. Now, we're in real battlefield economics. Not bullets, supply chains, not bombs, banking, not missiles, markets. So we don't use bullets, bombs, or missiles. We use supply chains, bankings, and markets, economic war. So China is a manufacturing powerhouse. Many countries rely on Chinese production that creates leverage. But leverage isn't the same as control because the world is interdependent. Remember that word, people, interdependent, okay? So the world is interdependent. I mean, everybody depends on everybody. Press too hard and everybody bleeds. So if you understand whoever controls the supply lines, control options, then you're ready for a system where no one is trapped. So this is where I introduced the revolutionary pivot, not destroy the dollar, but remove the gatekeeper by building a trade model based on outcomes. So my thing is to
Globalists, you're learning geopolitics. You're getting important information. This is not free and mix up until me ready for customer anyway. This is not free and mix up. This is palatable information for to prepare you for what's to come. We're not too afraid of good information. If me did there skin out and I broke out, the life would have full. When the two love mix up, cartoon this morning.
To do this, okay? Because right now everybody depends on the dollar. Without the dollar, everybody collapse. So I decided to come up with a system that is based on building a trade model on outcomes. It's based on outcomes because that's, to be honest, we're only trading because we want something for our country that we don't have and we want to use it to build something within our country. So why not trade based on outcomes, right? All right. So the fifth element pivot model is this. Trade outcomes, not currency control. So my pivot model is trade outcomes and not pivot control, not currency control. So it won't be because of currency control, but for trade outcomes. Now you have to listen to the entire thing because I know that they're going to say indigenous West trade routes, but listen to the whole.
I know I'm going to sit down and I'm going to listen to the all of it because I'm not participate.
Whole thing because it's a lot more than just the stuff that we think it is. So outcome based exchange would be this. Outcome based exchange would be skills, roads, energy, training. And why does it dilute domination? Because money is not food. Money is not electricity. Money is not roads. Money is a permission slip in a system where someone controls the printer. You understand? So we're taking that control away where we don't need a printer and we don't even need a damn paper. Period. Man, eliminate it. Watch. So what if we trade? Listen. What if we trade outcomes directly? Right? So think about it. Listen, Jamaica need engineers, right? Trinidad needs agriculture. Barbados need, these are just some examples. Just listen and try to follow because my brain is moving fast. Jamaica needs engineers. Trinidad needs agriculture. Barbados needs energy stability. Guyana needs training pipelines. Okay, so we trade the outcomes. You understand? You build my highway. I train your engineers. You supply this resource. I supply this technology. No permission slip in the middle controlled by one center. So we eliminate the dollar completely because so this is my thought process before I even keep going further, right? Think about it. Every country is trading because that country needs something. You need oil, you need electricity, energy, you need food, you're using this dollar to buy things that you need for your own country. So if every country just trade with another country for what they truly need to develop their country, then every country could be developed and not developing. But it's a more complicated barter system, okay? It's a barter system, yes, but it's not just a barter system that works locally or within a local community that like it used to work back in the old days. This is a more complex one that I kind of push further because I understood that the barter system was local. But this one would have, because in any system you need some kind of rules, right? So don't think, because the first thing people are going to say, well, the powerhouse people going to say no. Because if every country, and I'm not talking about isolating country, every single country on the globe, including North Korea and everybody, trades with each country, you have option. It becomes an optional thing, and we're going to keep going. So I'm going to explain that in a minute, but check this out. Also, if one partner cheats, because you always have countries who want to cheat, right? These countries want to cheat. You pivot. So you have options. Options, unalive, monopoly. Remember, options, unalive, monopoly. So for example, if I'm trading with Trinidad and Trinidad decide that they want to cheat, I can always pivot to Barbados. The fact that Trinidad know that if they act a fool, I can pivot to Barbados, they're always going to want to be honest. You understand? So options, unalive, monopoly. That's one way of doing it. Now you're going to say, who's going to oversee all of this? So no country, no tribe buy out the other one. Great. I'm glad you asked. This is my oversight design. I call it United Global. Okay. So United Global will have this. 3 representatives per country. So every country will have 3 representatives. Okay. Per country. Anti-corruption, selection, transparency, and no veto. No country can have a veto. Okay, this is where the fifth element, me, the creation that I'm coming up, you cannot just trade. You need dispute resolution. You need records and you need enforcement by agreement. So we don't call it United Nations anymore. We get rid of that corrupted organization. We name it and tied it. The name is tied to the old, the name is not tied to an old cage. Okay. We call it United Global. You understand? Because it belongs to everybody who opts in. And the core rule is simple. Every country gets 3 representatives, not 1, not 2, 3, because 3 breaks corruption, people. 1 can be bought, 2 can collude, 3 creates a check. So if 2 are in cohesion, the 3rd breaks it, and nothing can get passed unless all 3 have to agree. Okay? And if all 3 don't agree, then no decision passes. Because a decision without integrity is a weapon. So all 3 of them have to agree or not get passed. Okay. So check this out. The anti-corruption. They say, how are these 3 people for each country chosen? I'm glad you asked. Can we think about that too? They're chosen by the people, not the country, not the palace. So the design selection, okay, is for recall, term limits, transparency, and audits. You can build a new world system. No, we cannot. We cannot build a new world system with the old corruption. So here's the rule. The people choose. 5th element says the people choose. So every representative must be term limited, publicly audited, and financially transparent and recallable. You understand? So the people in the country choose the 3 representatives that get to represent us in the United Global. It don't even have to be the prime minister. It don't have to be the leader of the country. 3 people that gets to represent the country is chosen by the people, not the leaders, not the set, not none of them people don't get to choose. The people of the country choose the 3 people, and those 3 people, they have term limits. They are publicly audited, financially transparent, and they can be recalled. So if them act a plumb fool, they can be recalled. Them not just sit down in there because somebody vote you in. Act a fool and the people can recall you. Now, because if they can't be recalled, they don't represent. You're just renting a ruler. We're not rent no ruler. You understand? They're recallable. No. And foreign money, banned. Hidden income, immediate removal. You understand? Any foreign money is banned. Any hidden income, them get recalled. They're immediately removed. Exactly. Nobody can bully nobody. So here is how dispute works without war, without bullying, without one country acting like a god. Dispute resolution, no guns, no veto, just protocol. Okay. We have arbitration steps, timeline, remedies, reputation, penalties, suspension from system. So if disputes will happen, people, so we don't just pretend when we design things, because I'm going to have disputes. So step 1, record the complaint. Step 2, evidence window. You have to present your evidence. Step 3, mediation. We try to mediate it. Then we have an arbitration panel. Penalty is not bombs. Penalty is loss of access, loss of reputation. So no country wants to have a bad reputation. Remember, the countries already have options. So if you act up over there, so we can go all the way to Africa and trade with Ghana, because you are player yourself. And one country can say, okay, why them stop trading? Because that was a cheating, lying behind country. Guess what? You can lose, that can be affected. Reputation, country's reputation. Now it's based on that reputation of that country. So every country I want to have good reputation, checks and balances. We have checks and balances, get rid of corruption. So penalty is loss of access, loss of reputation, suspension from trade lanes. Because in an optional system, isolation is the consequence. In any optional system, isolation is the consequence. So how this starts small and grows without needing every country to fall in line at one time. Just start, all right? Explain pilots like the Caribbean, Africa, blocks, opt-in treaties, proof of work. So we don't need the whole world to agree one day. We need a pilot. Proof creates believers. So we start with a regional bloc where trade already exists. The Caribbean, African Regional Union, South-South trade corridors. So once it works, others will start joining in. Not because of speeches, but because they see stability. Okay? Let me tell you something. This is not about not liking or hating any country. This is about ending dependency. This is about making exploitation impossible. If one center controls money, one center controls permission. But if value is traded as outcomes, food, energy, training, roads, that nobody owns then absolutely nobody owns that country's oxygen. And if any country tries to bully you, you pivot. So anytime a country tries to bully you, you just pivot on them backside because options keep you free. Okay? So tonight I'm asking a different question. Not who do we fight, but who will build, who will design, who will document, and who will demand transparency, who will insist the world system must be fair. Okay? I am the fifth element. And I'm telling you, the old world runs on permission. You see, this new world will be run on shared value. And we can build it on paper first, then it pilots, then into reality. Okay? Listen. Somebody said I'm a good economist plan. Let me tell you something. Yes, when I was doing this, let me read tell you some of the things that
Nobody's hit the like button, please.
Let me say something before I go even further, because I have more and it's going to go deeper. That was my summary, so I hope you get my summary. So let me go deep into it, right? Because I had some questions, right? I know enough people log off, right? But it's okay because them not get it. I looked at the whole situation and I asked the question. I said, if the United States can just go into Venezuela and remove their head of state, is anybody safe? That means if them decide and make up some legal jargon about something anybody is doing in any country they don't like, they can just roll up into the country and take the lead and walk out. Because nobody's doing anything because the president is still locked up behind bars on United States soil. So that means nobody is doing anything. Why? Because why? Let me tell you. People say, you hear analysts and you hear people crying out, it's against international laws. They're not supposed to be doing that. Then I said, okay, but international law, they don't arrest people. They don't put people in jail. Who sits on these boards of international law, crisis, international law? Guess who sits on it? The United States, China, Russia, France, and Europe. So that's kind of a conflict in interest. So I said, okay, so why don't the other nations say something? Because guess who has veto power? Guess who has veto power? United States has veto power. So even if the Security Council, because the UN is just a forum, the Security Council is the people and where we enforce stuff like that. So United States, China, Russia, France, and Europe, UK, sit on, they're the ones that sit for the international law, in the international forum, sits on the Security Council. So then I'm thinking like, okay, so it makes sense why nobody can do nothing, but why can't the other big nations say something against what the United States is doing? And it came to me, because the United States have veto power. So it's simple. Even if Russia and so does China, and so does Russia, so does France, and so does UK, they all have veto power against themselves. So if one of them says, me not like what you do, I veto, me veto, nothing you can't do about it. So that really gives them the authority, any country, if you go do anything they want to do, because they have veto power. So international law is useless.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Speaking out is not the same as enforcement. What are we not understanding? Hot off the press, you can speak out. Them sit up on the same Security Council. Yes, I can condemn your actions. You are not doing the right thing, but there's no enforcement. Who went to New York and pulled Maduro out of jail? The man still in a jail and with man court date in a country that he's not a citizen or even a permanent resident or even have a visa to. He's the head of state. Whether United States just decide, a whole nother country, think about it. A whole nother country decide that, you know what? Trinidad and Tobago, I don't think your prime minister is legitimate. I think he didn't, the elections never run the way we think he should have run. Where come for him? Oh, by the way, let me look over there. So Australia, me not think few people legitimate either. Oh, Ghana, I don't think your president is legitimate. I'm coming for him. Oh, Burkina Faso, I don't even like how Traore got to power. We're coming for him. We're coming for him. That's all they need to say. They don't think you're legitimate. And China say, well, I don't think you should do that. I condemn such actions. It's illegal against the rules that we place on the books that we all agreed to. And United States, look, and China say, I veto it, shut your mouth. And what China do? All right.
Believe it or not, my people, the international rule-based order is a gentleman handshake of the nuclear permanent five. It's a gentleman handshake between the five permanent nuclear members who decide how they will run the world financially, economically, politically, and militarily. That's the world order.
And veto it, I have to just go on with it. Huh? So, because they're not going to enforce, they're not going to use military. Because if I go through all the militaries, they're not going to go to military force. So, economically is what they'll try to do. But China is not going to risk an economic collapse. Okay, this economic warfare is what they're going to do. But at the same time, looking at Venezuela, looking at these other insignificant countries, according to them, because they all have footprints and foot strongholds. All of them have strongholds in all the countries that has the resources. So why would they go to war with each other? They sit up on the same, them sit up on the same forum, the same panel, the same Security Council, them have the same rights. Why would I go to war with with each other when we come up with all of the foolishness? And we come up with the foolishness, and so why are we going to fight with each other? Enforcement is the important key, and they're not going to enforce anything. So I think, okay, so we're not going to use military. We got to do economic warfare. But we cannot do economic warfare in a system that is already one-sided, okay? BRICS is not as strong as it should be. The US dollar is still the major money across the world. So going into economic warfare is suicidal to a lot of countries. They can go, but so much and not so long. So I said, we need to come up with a different system. We need to come up with a different system. So how about I pitch this to the world that's listening, because otherwise from those five countries, the rest of the world is insignificant to those five countries, because them feels and them alone run things. So how about I pitch this to the rest of the world? How about we pitch it and we start doing it? Options, we don't, because I said if countries decide not to close their borders to the US and say, okay, we're going to do a reverse sanction on the US, close our borders, they're going to suffer. So how do we do this without suffering? Because the US dollar is the reserves for everybody, right? We get rid of the dollar, right? Simple. How do we get rid of the dollar without having problems? We start trading, use the old system with upgrades, serious upgrades, and measures in place that we start trading. We create options. We create new trading lanes and options. So instead of trading for money, we trade for outcomes. So that's what got me thinking, right? That's what got my brain rotating. So listen to me carefully. Not emotionally, not politically. Want to listen to me systematically, okay? Tonight, I'm not gossiping. I'm not even outraged. I'm actually excited, okay? Tonight is not the left versus the right. Tonight is architecture. I am not here to tell you who not to like. I am not here to... Yeah, I'm not. I'm here to show you why the world feels lawless and why once I saw it clearly, I could not unsee it. I am the fifth element, aka a lunar skyfire. And when the old system exposes its cracks, I do not scream. I build. So this conversation that I have exists. It did not come from imagination. It came from observation that I had. The world watched a moment that made people very uncomfortable. Not because they liked or disliked the person involved. It's not even about Maduro right now. It's not about Maduro, the person, but because it raised a question nobody wants to ask out loud. A sitting head of state, Venezuela's president, was brought into the United States courtroom. Some people cheered. Some people panicked. Some people did not know what to think. But I did not focus on the man himself. You missed the point if you're focusing on Maduro. No, I focus on the mechanism. Because the real question is not, is he a good or bad person? The real question is, what does this reveal about how power actually works in the world? What does this reveal about how power actually works in the world? Because if the rules only apply sometimes, then they are not rules, they are permission. And permission systems, people, are dangerous. People started asking questions in private, So can this happen to anyone? Does sovereignty means anything anymore? Is international law real? Is the UN real? Or is it just decoration? These questions didn't come from paranoia, They came from a pattern of pattern recognition. And once you see a pattern, you cannot pretend it does not exist. So let me say this very clear before we go further. This is not a call for violence. Let me be very clear. This is not a call to overthrow anybody or anything. This is not a call for chaos. This is a design conversation. Because mature civilizations don't destroy systems at all. What they do, they replace them. So, what the Maduro situation symbolizes, whether you agree with United States policy or not, whether you like Maduro or not, whether you trust Venezuela or not, the moment that happened, it symbolizes something way deeper. Enforcement is not equal. Power determines consequences. Institutions speak, but power acts. That's not ideology. That's just a plain observation. So here is the uncomfortable truth. You see, when people feel that the world is governed by power instead of principle, something dangerous happens. They stop believing in fairness. They stop believing in law. They stop believing in cooperation. And that's how civilizations start to decay. Not from invasion, from loss of legitimacy. So why I didn't jump to anger first? Why was that not my first response? Some people respond with anger. I did not. Because anger does not build. Anger only reacts. Instead, I asked myself this. If this is how the system behaves under pressure, what is the system actually designed to do? And once I asked that question honestly, I could not go back. Right? Because here's a realization that changed everything for me, people. The world is not run by law. It is run by enforceable power. Law exists where power allows it. Law disappears where power resists it. That doesn't mean law is fake. It means law is incomplete. So why the UN came into my focus point? This is when my attention shifted to the United Nations, because people often say the UN should stop this. The UN should intervene. The UN should enforce law. But the UN is not a government. It has no police. It has no army. It has no teeth unless power agrees. And that's when I saw the trap, people. And I also saw the veto problem. There are countries with veto power. That means they can block enforcement. So, if enforcement depends on approval from the powerful, then enforcement is not neutral. It is conditional. And conditional justice is not justice. It is hierarchy. I want you to pause for me for a moment. Don't argue yet. Don't defend anything yet. Just observe. Ask yourself this. Have you ever seen a powerful country truly? Have you ever seen a powerful country truly forced to comply when it did not want to? Be honest. Put it in the comments. Have you ever seen a powerful country being forced to comply when they don't want to? And be honest. Okay. And before anybody twists this is not about being anti-American. This is not anti any country at all. This is anti-imbalance. Because any system where one actor can override the rules will eventually be abused, no matter who holds the power. History itself have proved that. So the moment Fifth Element truly activated, because like I told you, 2 days, it's just been rolling around in my head like this is just not making sense to me, right? The moment my mind shifted from analysis to creation is when I said to myself, if enforcement is unequal, Fifth Element, if money creates dependency, Fifth Element, if military escalation destroys everyone, Fifth Element, then the solution cannot be force. So what is the solution, Fifth Element? And that's when the Fifth Element in me was activated. Not fire, not water, not air, not even earth, creation. Yes. Because if the current system rewards dominance, punishes independence, and traps countries' independency, then it must be redesigned. Not protested, not begged, redesigned. The world system is structured in a way where power overrides principle. Once you see that clearly, you stop asking who is right and start asking what system would make this impossible. Okay? I want to tap up the screen and share out this live because I am going to continue because like I said I was going to tell you step by step. Yes, and I'm going to share. Lulu, I'm sharing with you the new system, Fifth Element, when in creation mode. Because I tell you the system, it was just on my mind, just working my brain. I was just like, this is not making sense to me. Like, this is not about Maduro. This is not about Trump. This is about something way different, way bigger, way deeper. This has nothing to do with the parties, the man, the personal. This is not personal. Okay. Someone wanted to take a breath with me. Because if you're just joining me, this is not a rant that I'm doing, and this is not an attack. This is structural truth. I showed you the crack, and now I'm going to show you why the crack exists. Because if you don't understand the structure, you'll blame the wrong people and fight the wrong battles. The biggest misconception. Most people think the United Nations is a global government. Tell me, how many people here think the United Nations is a global government? Maybe we should ask that question. Because most people think that. If you were one of those people who thought the United Nations was a global government, type yes in the comments. Don't be ashamed. This is not, you're not going to, because most of the world thinks that. So you're not going to feel bad, but okay. Thank you for being honest, Prince. I like people that can be honest with themselves. That's the first step in us even moving forward. Thank you so much. But it's not. Most people think the UN make rules. It does not. Most people think the UN can stop countries. It cannot. And once you understand why, the entire world will start to make sense to you. So what is the United Nations? What do they actually, what is the United Nations? What are they? The United Nations is a forum. It's a meeting place, a discussion table, a negotiation room. That's what the United Nations is. It was created after World War II, not to enforce justice, but to prevent total war between major powers. Listen to me. Because when I think the United Nations is here for us. Listen why it was created. It was created after World War II, not to enforce justice. Put that in your head. But to prevent total war between major powers. Who do you think those powers are? United Nations only exists to stop war between major powers. Who do you think the powers are? And that distinction matters. No, the Security Council is the real engine. Inside the United Nations, there is one body that matters more than every other body. It's called the Security Council. This is where enforcement decisions live, right? But you're going to see the catch-22. This is where sanctions, interventions, authorizations, condemnations with T. But here is the design flaw of the Security Council. The veto. 5 countries have permanent seat on the security, not temporary, permanent seats on the Security Council. 5. And each one of those 5 has veto power. Make that sink in. So that means if one of them says no, nothing passes. Even if 190 countries agree, evidence is overwhelming, the action violates norms, one no stops everything from one of the 5 permanent seats. One no, no matter if 190 people, one no, and it stops everything. Okay? Sit with that. So let that sink in. One country can block the will of almost the entire planet. Not because it is morally right, not because it is legally correct, but because the system was designed to protect power from being coerced. Why this wasn't accidental? This was not a mistake, you know. After World War II, the victors said this: we will cooperate, but we will never allow the world to force us. So veto power was the price of participation. That means United Nations was built on a bargain. Peace among the powerful, inequality for everyone else. You understand that? Peace among the powerful, inequality for everyone else. Why does this matter? As long as the world was bipolar, this imbalance was hidden. As long as people believed the system was fair, they tolerated it. But now information travels fast, people. Now contradictions are visible. Thank you so much. Now people notice patterns and the illusion cracks. So when people say, why didn't the UN stop what happened to Venezuela? The honest answer is this: because the UN cannot. Them can't stop it. If a permanent member refuses, won't, they cannot. That not a failure of intention is a failure of design. No. This is not just about the United States. The same protection applies to Russia and China. others with veto power too. So this is not just US controls the UN. This is great powers paralyze the UN. So if China say no, if Russia say no, just one of them have to say no. China is between China. Okay, so the 5 powers, China, Russia, US, France, UK, right? Any one of them say no, but them 3 there, China, Russia, and US. So if somebody say, China say, yo, we want you not do that with Venezuela, and US say no, that's when it done. Nothing happens. It stops. It stops. One of them, just one of them. All of them have the same power. Okay? So great powers, those 5 great powers, they paralyzed the United Nations because it was.
And this was why Donald Trump refused to take the Venezuela dispute to the Security Council as a country have ought to done when there's a dispute between 2 countries. Because Donald Trump knows that both Russia and China would waive their veto in front of America, stopping America in its track from getting international authorization to do whatever they want to do in Venezuela. He possibly knew as well he wouldn't get the authorization in Congress. This is why he bypassed everything, Congress, all the international layers, and him just go forward. You only need an asshole to show you that rules don't really make no sense.
Was built for them. It wasn't built for nobody else. That's the lie them telling you. It was not built for nobody but for them. That's even worse because it means no one is accountable when power refuses constraint or restraint, I should say. So when condemnation feels empty, this is why you see strong language, urgent meetings, statements of concern, resolutions without enforcement. The United Nations becomes a megaphone with no hands. People speak, but nothing moves. That's why you see them condemn the actions. They can condemn all day. Strong language. They use strong language. They have urgent meetings, statements of concern, resolutions. We got to do this resolution, but there's no enforcement because they cannot enforce anything. Them not enough power to enforce it. How this affects smaller countries? You see, for a smaller nation, this creates a dangerous reality. You can be invaded, you can be sanctioned, you can be pressured, and you can be isolated, and your only recourse is moral outrage. But moral outrage does not stop power. Understand why this is so dangerous. Yes, they are powerless, Mr. Shivers. So the psychological damage, this is where trust erodes. So this is when people see that rules applied selectively, enforcement depending on strength, and law bending for the powerful, they stop believing in institutions. And once belief dies, cooperation dies. And why protest alone doesn't fix it? Many people respond by protesting the UN. You protest in a UN, them can't do nothing about it. But protest does not change the architecture of the UN. What you can shout at the broken bridge, but it will not hold weight until it is rebuilt. You understand? So you can go at the bridge, you know the bridge broken, you can hold up your sign all day and say, we want a bridge, we want a bridge, we want a bridge, fix the bridge, we want a bridge. But go stand up on the bridge and see if it's a crack with you, because it's not going to fix the broken bridge. You have to rebuild that bridge. So here's the truth we must accept before we moving forward. The United Nations was never designed to enforce equality. It was designed to manage imbalance. And that means it cannot be the foundation of a fair global system going forward. If you see it and understand it, I want you to type. Yes. Now, here's where people usually go wrong. They say if institution can't stop power, then power must stop power, right? That's what we say. That thinking leads to arm races, nuclear standoffs, and permanent fear. This is where people bring up North Korea. This is where they bring up military strength. And this is where the world almost always chooses the wrong lesson. Now, because I'm going to explain why military answers are a trap, why nuclear deterrence freezes progress, and why force cannot build fairness. See, once you understand that, you'll see why the only viable path forward is economic and structural redesign. Okay? Remember, the UN is not evil. You know what the UN is? Outdated. And outdated systems need to be attacked. No, they don't need to be attacked. The UN is outdated and they need to be replaced. So this is where Fifth Element came in with the replacement system, because the UN is outdated and it needs to be replaced. And tap up the screen, because we're going to talk about it, because people say, well, let's do the military, let's do war. I'm going to tell you why the military is a trap. Tap up the screen. Thank you so much, Verna. Tap up the screen, people. The military trap. Why force will never fix the world, and why nuclear power freezes everything.
And Paul Buchanan, when I choose the Paul Buchanan, I go back a quarter Wednesday. I think Paul Buchanan and Andrew Casey have been, I think it's coming up next week as well, to you know. The appeal, the new appeal, I think on next week it'll hear.
Everything. I want you to listen carefully now. This is where a lot of people lose clarity, because when they realize that law cannot stop power, institutions cannot compel the strong, their instinct is to say, the first thing people move towards is to say, then we need force. That instinct is understandable, of course it is, but it is also the deadliest mistake humanity keeps making. It's one of the most deadliest mistakes we keep making, okay? It's the false conclusion people jump to. People say if the United States cannot be stopped legally, then another military must stop it, right? That's what we say. So they start naming countries, right? Am I right? North Korea, Russia can't stop them. China can't stop them. What about Iran? They start stacking missiles in their imagination, but imagination is not reality. So why North Korea always comes up? North Korea is always mentioned because it has nuclear weapons, and people confuse nuclear capability with control. Let me be clear. Nuclear weapons do not create order. They create stalemate. They do not build fairness. They freeze movement. What nuclear power actually does is this. Nuclear weapons don't give you freedom. They give you mutual fear. Each person fear the other one. They say, if you touch me, we all die. That's not power to build a world. That's power to prevent change. Okay? So why no one actually wants to use them? Every nuclear armed country understands this one truth. The moment you use nuclear force, you lose everything you were trying to protect. Your economy collapses, trade system stops, food systems fail, generations suffer. So nuclear weapons don't solve imbalance. They lock imbalance into place. So the military illusion, here's the illusion people live under. They think military strength equal control. It does not. Military strength equals deterrence, denial, and destruction, but it does not equal legitimacy, cooperation, development, or trust. You cannot bomb your way into a fair system. So why military escalation always backfires? Every time humanity chooses force to fix imbalance, more money goes into weapons, less money goes into food, less money goes into education, less money goes into infrastructure. So even if you win, you lose the future. So why this path traps small countries? Because it often traps the small countries. For small and developing nations, the military logic is a cage because they are told choose a side. But choosing side means this: dependency, proxy war, sanctions, and a loss of sovereignty. Military blocks does not protect small countries. What they do is consume them. They eat them up. Here is the uncomfortable truth. that nobody likes to say. No military on earth can force global fairness without destroying the planet. No military on earth can force global fairness without destroying the planet. And that includes the United States, China, Russia, anyone. So if your solution requires force, it is not a solution. It is a countdown. Take a breath. This is not weakness. This is wisdom. Knowing that doesn't work is how you find exactly what works. So here's the fifth element perspective. Thank you so much. This is where the fifth element separates the crowd. I am not fire. I am not destruction. I am creation. And creation does not start with a weapon. It starts with structure. So if law cannot restrain power, that's what I said. If the United Nations cannot compel enforcement, and if the military escalation destroys the whole planet and everyone, then what remains? What tool exists that can apply pressure, avoid war, preserve life, encourage cooperation, and punishes dishonesty naturally? Only one thing I came up with, and it could be plenty others in your eyesight. Economics introduced carefully. Carefully introduced economics. Yes, economics. No greed economics. Not exploitation economics, but structural economics. The flow of food, energy, labor, skills, and infrastructure. This is where the real power lies, people. Why economics is different from force? Because economic system don't rely on fear. It rely on access, it rely on trust, it rely on participation and optionality. And here is the key. You cannot force people to trade with you. Trade is voluntary. Which means trade systems can be designed to reward fairness and punish domination. The moment everything clicks, yes, it was this moment for me when everything clicked for me. Military power forces compliance. This is when it clicking on my head, right? I say military power forces compliance, right? But you see, economic systems, it shape behavior. Force creates enemies. Economics create incentives. And incentives are how civilizations actually move. So if you understand why war would fail, you can type no war. And if you see economics, how you can use economics, you can write economics. But I am going to talk about the manufacturing, supply chains, currency dominance, and why China matters, why money became the gatekeeper, and why removing the gatekeeper changes everything, okay? It's not about not liking money. It's about understanding how money is shaped, representing value, and started to control it. And once you see that, you understand why the fifth element does not destroy system, I re-anchor them, okay? So on the top of the screen. Yes, economics, we are going at it. I love that. And it might sound boring to some people, but you see, if you understand it, and you realize that every country can become developed and not developing, and nobody will be a powerhouse because everybody will do them thing. You realize how powerful that is. If you understand this economics that I'm putting towards you, and you realize, say, every country will have the ability to become developed, not developing because you're trading the outcome, not the currency. You don't realize how some people don't understand how powerful that is, you know. I'm so excited about it. Boy, may I tell you, we can go every single country and tell them that them do. Where does power actually lives? Money, manufacturing, and the gatekeeper problem. Let's talk about it. Now we step into the real control room. Come in at the control room with me. Yes. No missiles, no armies, no long speeches. Supply, access, and flow. This is where modern power lives. In previous statements that I've made, I showed you what cannot fix the world. And I showed you what already controls it. Most people think government run the world. They don't. The world runs on who produces, who transports, who insures, who finances, and who clears transactions. Politics argues on the surface. Economics decides underneath. Yes. So let's talk facts, not feelings. The world goods do not appear magically. Phones, machinery, medical supplies, construction materials, electronics, solar panels, batteries. They are manufactured, and manufacturing creates leverage. So why do China matters? This is where China enters the conversation. Not as an enemy, not as a savior, as a mode. Or I say node. China produces a massive share of the world's manufactured goods, yes? That doesn't make China the boss. It makes China embedded. Embedded power is subtle power. Embedded versus dominating power. Dominated power uses force, right?
US.
Embedded power uses necessity.
China.
So if you rely on someone's production, you consider their interests, and that's not ideology. It's just simple logistics. But here's the catch. Manufacturing alone does not rule the world because manufacturing still needs financing, insurance, currency settlement, and access to markets. And this is where the gatekeeper appears, the currency gatekeeper. Money was supposed to be a tool, a neutral medium, a way to measure value. But somewhere along the line, money stopped representing value and started controlling access to it. When one currency becomes dominant, that currency becomes a gate. What gatekeeping looks like, let me explain to you. If you need that currency to buy food, to buy fuel, to pay debt, to ensure shipping, to clear trade, then whoever controls the system around that currency does not need to invade you. They can.
You know, like in Jamaica, especially when you're going to the tourist environment, then quote you in a US dollars. Yeah, them something there.
And simply say no. Okay? And your economy freezes. This is not conspiracy. This is not a secret. It is structural. Every country using the same settlement system creates efficiency, but it also creates dependency. And dependency always concentrates power. So why sanctions work the way they do? Sanctions are not magic. They work because trade is centralized, finance is centralized, insurance is centralized. But so cutting access does not require war. It requires control of the gate. And who are the gatekeepers? We know who the gatekeepers are. So why do people feel trapped? This is why smaller countries feel boxed in. Because even if they have land, labor, resources, they still must ask permission to convert value into survival. What a calamity, eh? That's not sovereignty. That is conditional existence. All of the smaller countries are existing conditionally. You hear me? Under this gatekeeping system. So this is not about abolishing money. Money is not the villain. Centralized permission is. Money became dangerous when it stopped being a servant and became a filter. So why this system resisted? The system resists change because it benefits the gatekeepers. It simplifies control and it makes coercion cheap. Replacing this type of system would mean less leverage, more negotiation, more equality. And equality is inconvenient to dominance. Understand that. Now, here is the fifth element, insight. This is where the fifth element reframes everything, okay? So instead of asking, how do we destroy the dollar? Thank you so much. I asked this question, how do we remove the gate, right? How do we remove the gate? Because if value flows without a single choke point, no one can freeze the system. What happens when the gate is removed? When no single currency controls access, sanctions lose their teeth, coercion becomes expensive, cheating drives partners away, and power diffuses naturally, and cooperation becomes a rational thing again. Now, if you see the problem now, you can type gate. If you understand the value, movement matters more than money itself, type flow. And if you believe that choice prevents domination, type option. Pick up yourself, Tavoy. So you're saying, so you're asking me, because I think somebody put it in the comments. So fifth element, what you're saying is what? Go back to the barter system? Is that what you're telling me, fifth element, for us to go back to the barter system like way back in the indigenous days? No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm building. Okay? And I am going to show you in a few minutes what I'm building. I'm going to show you how trade outcomes, not currency, how skills, infrastructure, food, and energy becomes exchange units, how development becomes mutual, not hierarchical. This is where the fifth element system takes form. Now, I have a warning, okay? You see the next part I'm about to do? This is where shallow thinkers is going to leave the life. All my shallow thinkers is going to roll off my life because it requires you to let go of the old labels, the old fears that you have, and the old assumptions that you know. But if you stay, you'll see how a world can trade without anyone owning the printer. Okay? So on the top of the screen, if you stay, you're going to see it. But if you're a shallow thinker, you can't stay upon the live here with me. This is not for the shallow thinkers. Fifth element, been thinking. I've been thinking how to redesign this system. This dirty system. Beyonce never do song for you. Watch out. I woke up in the morning and said, damn, how did this happen? I looked on CNN and I saw that Maduro was still locked up in New York. Oh, say not guilty. He is not guilty. Whoa. United Global in the house. Whoa. He is not guilty. So how the hell they went into Venezuela and took him and his wife back to New York if he ain't guilty? Because that's how power works. USA say veto. Beyonce, you have to go sing that one there for me. Queen B, you have to go sing that one there for me. Cause I alone can manage that one there. But that's what development rule. I've been thinking. On the top of the screen, 21, start at 20, man, 14, we still there 14. Top of the screen. Okay? Outcome-based trade. How we remove the gate without collapsing the world. How do fifth element remove the gate without collapsing the world? I've been thinking. I feel like a Medea upon that. But this is when Medea tried to recreate that. Hey, how do we remove the gate without collapsing the world? Fifth element had to ask the question because I've been thinking. Wanna come, tap up. Yeah, it is, you know what? It is such a beautiful, liberating feeling when you just, boom, it just hits you like a lightning bolt. You'll be like, what? Really? It can actually work? The system can work. So, whoa. On the top of the screen. All of the people in my shallow thinking and a roll off. Roll out. I just need my deep thinking thinkers here. King, you just say, you're liberated. Just truly liberated. Hold on. I'm going to tap up the screen. Yes, 20. We want to thank you. You have to tell the algorithm that this is something.
Well, globalists, that's where it ends for you. Fifth Element is a teacher by profession. She's a primary school teacher. Everybody should want their child to be taught by her. She's quite an excellent educator. Her channel is on TikTok, The Fifth Element. Brilliant information over there on a day-to-day basis. But I will leave you to think on that because you have had quite an earful this morning. I ain't gonna bore you anymore, but you must think on these things. Thank you very much for being here with us this morning. Join us back this evening for the people's point of view. Good morning and good afternoon.
Ghetto, run, keep going on, let's process. For children of Israel do really love rights. So just a and I say watch a man around Babylonian walls. Oh, children of Israel, I should never hold thy peace. What wrong is going on? Hey, oh, we gotta bust down Babylon walls. Prepare and read the way. Prepare and read the way for jumping. Let's go. Fight down war and crime. Fight down war and crime. Say Rastafari. War and crime. And do that righteousness. And we love Jah. And we love Jah. And we love Jah. Jah Rastafari. And we love Jah. We love Jah. Jah Rastafari. We love Jah. Jah Rastafari. Preserve all people. Put time away again. Listen. Yeah. Just as I and I say watch a man around Babylonian walls. Oh, children of Israel, I should never hold thy peace while we are penalized. Hey, oh, night. We gonna bust down Babylon gates. Prepare and read the way. Prepare and read the way for Jah Rastafari. Fight down war and crime. Rastafari, war and crime, and build up righteousness. And we love Jah, and we love Jah, and we love Jah, Rastafari, preserve all, and we love Jah, me love Jah, me love Jah, Rastafari, preserve all, me love Jah. Rastafari. Yeah, the next song is going to be the last song for tonight. And then DJ Twink.
If you don't like missing out on the latest shows but still enjoy classic hits, then Global TV Group 358 is your perfect match. Global TV Group 358 isn't just another channel, it's your ultimate TV experience. From breaking news to binge-worthy dramas and timeless classics, we've got it all. Our unique blend of original content and global favorites means there's something for everyone. And guess what?
With GTVG's seamless streaming, you can watch anywhere, anytime. Plus, our interactive features let you be part of the action. So, whether you're a seasoned binge watcher or a casual viewer, Global TV Group 358 is here to keep you entertained day and night. Don't just watch TV, experience it with Global TV Group 358. Subscribe now and never miss a moment.